Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Protests have erupted for a second day in Tbilisi after disputed local elections, with the ruling Georgian Dream party claiming total victory and the EU condemning what it calls a crackdown on dissent. We're now joined by Grigol Julukhidze, a professor of international relations at the School of Governance, Caucasus University, to discuss what these escalating tensions mean for Georgia's democracy and its strained ties with Europe. Good to have you back on TVP World. It's good to have you, Grigol.
My pleasure to be with you, Sasha.
Let's start with the latest. As of Monday, we're hearing reports now that there have been 5 of the protest leaders are charged by the Georgian authorities for plotting to overthrow the government. So let's start with that. I mean, those are quite the charges. I mean, is this, what's your first reaction to this, and what does this mean for what's happening in Georgia?
Well, it means that the opposition is completely demoralized right now, and I remind you that the flank of resistance from the political forces in Georgia right now are completely divided, and even the most active supporters and the most active representatives from this flank tried to somehow distance themselves from the actions of these opposition figures, but not leaders, because Mr. Zodalava and Mr. Julukhidze have never been in this category. And their attempt to change political reality through quite mal-planned set of actions of course, failed, because right now the background and the pretext and the context of the political situation could easily result in the reality in which we are right now. And it once again proves that the ruling team, the Georgian Dream, is becoming more and more powerful political actor, especially amid the growing separation and divisions within the opposition, decreasing interest from the West due to the global political events, and of course the interminable defeats of the opposition, which right now lacks any plan, any further vision to change the government, and it was resulted in the dimension in which this country is nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this at length before, and unfortunately it just seems to be more and more bad news for the opposition. It was sort of quiet for a while now with these municipal elections that have concluded. Does this, I'm just curious, does this now mean Georgian Dream has all the institutions, all the power locked up? Is this the final moment here for them, or is there still any way that the opposition can have a say in any way, or is this now a complete power play by Georgian Dream?
Within the next month, most likely we will see the complete demolition of the opposition flank, because I remind you that the political figures who represent the let's say that the main opposition parties have been involved in the Georgian politics since 1995, and people are tired of them, especially amid the lack of leader, vision, union, tangible plans. And it means that within the next few months, we will see the complete consolidation of power by the Georgian Dream, which first of all benefits from the mistakes of the opposition, because on its own, the Georgian Dream made a lot of strategic mistakes, which could be and would have been translated into the change of the government in any other European country. But of course, in the semi-authoritarian countries where the government uses the brutal methods, and all this set of actions are supported by the inabilities of the opposition flank to translate these mistakes into the tangible results and change, will finally lead to the reality in which this country lives right now. And my answer is yes. Within the next few months, we will see the complete cleanup of the opposition flank. And that's the bad news, but also it could be good news because it may lead to the appearance of other opposition forces that right now are under the shadows of the current opposition.
So still, when I hear you there, I think I still hear the optimism that there can still be change. But I want to come back to what's happened on the weekend as well. I mean, through some of the images that our viewers are seeing now, there seems to have been some kind of attempt by protesters to raid the presidential palace. And we've seen some serious police and riot presence there, crackdowns, which we've seen over these past weeks and months. Now, the Prime Minister himself is saying that all these attempts, an overthrow of the government with the help of foreign agents. So if we hear messaging like that, how does that, let's say, color the perceptions of the Georgian people? What's the tactic behind this?
Right now, the Georgian Dream tries to portray itself as the pro-Western force, which is fighting so-called global deep state, a conspiratory organization, a conspiration organization which subtly controls the world. Yes, it might seem ridiculous for the Western audience, but in some certain areas and certain target groups in Georgia, this narrative works quite effectively. But of course, the vast majority of the Georgian society understands the reality. And the reality has been already described by me. As for the attempt of the demonstrators to storm the presidential palace, it was an unresponsible decision because there was no need of such drastic actions. Apart from that, the government agencies were very well prepared to respond to such kind of actions. And finally, we have to admit that such mal-calculated and stupid actions help the Georgian Dream to legitimize its power and prove that these individuals are radicals, to portray them as radicals for the internal audience. And right now I can hereby declare that the opposition makes more mistakes than the Georgian Dream, and Mr. Ivanishvili and the ruling team are in a very comfortable situation, while their opponents are doing the more damage to themselves than to the government.
Mm-hmm. I just want to also touch quickly on the fact, I mean, you mentioned there that the Georgian Dream is portraying itself as this paradox of actually pro-Western EU path political power, but at the same time, that doesn't seem to be the case. But they haven't ruled that out. I mean, we know that that process is frozen at the moment. The EU has been critical of what they've been seeing. What about this? With these latest now protests, with this latest display of government crackdown, where is that path for Georgia into the European Union and all this? Just briefly at the end.
There is no path anymore unless we see the change in the government, which is not possible within the next months and maybe years. As for the main ideological narrative of the Georgian Dream, it is the following: that we're a pro-European force, but right now Europe does not need us. They were requiring from us during the hottest period of the Russo-Ukrainian war to open the second front of resistance against Russia. We declined their pressure, their suggestion, and that's why we're punished because of this decision. Of course, we understand that it has nothing in reality with the truth, but not all Georgians do. And that's the trickiest thing. And apart from that, there is mistakenly a constant, let's say, creed in the Georgian society that the West will solve the problems of Georgians instead of us, that the West will not survive without democratic Georgia, which is not true. There are much more important things and headaches for the collective West right now rather than Georgia. And Georgians have to understand that the problem outsourcing will not work, which will not be translated into tangible results. And unfortunately, one of the main responsibles for this approach and in this belief. One of the main people to be blamed for it are from the opposition. So, to cut a long story short, we see the complete change in the political landscape of Georgia. This round was won by the Georgian Dream, it was won by Russia, but it does not necessarily mean that it is the end of Georgia. But this is the cost, tragic cost of this country because of its very unfavorable geopolitical location.
Right, and as you said, this round won by Georgian Dream, but it seems there will be many more rounds to go. The opposition has not given up yet, so we'll be covering that as it develops. Look, always a pleasure. Thank you for all those insights from Georgia.
My pleasure, Sasha. Thank you.
Good man there, Grigol Julukhidze. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. It concludes World Talks, but stay tuned right here for more news and commentary on TVP World. Goodbye.